Good day, everybody. It's Andrew here, and welcome back to my channel. Okay, the Senate just held a vote that is going to have a huge impact on stimulus and everything else happening in Congress right now. Congress, is specifically Democrats, are trying to get a lot of things done by the end of December. They're trying to get the stimulus package done. Bernie Sanders is trying to include stimulus checks for seniors. Then we have the debt ceiling and potential shutdown crisis that they're trying to avoid, as well as the national defense budget as well. So let's talk about all of this in this video and how it's going to affect stimulus. But first, do me a quick favor, hit like, hit subscribe, and share this channel with anyone who you think might find this helpful. As always, if you really want to support my work, subscribe to my second channel. The link to that is going to be in the comments of this video. Okay, so let's do a quick update on daily trending news. It's going to be about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll jump right into stimulus. Bernie Sanders continues to fight to include a stimulus check for seniors in this next stimulus package, and he has pledged to make that check $1,000. Some groups have said it should be $2,000, but realistically, if we get the $1,000 at this point, I don't think we'll be satisfied, but I think it'll be enough to hold us over until they permanently increase Social Security benefits. Now, as usual, Bernie Sanders has been all over Twitter, slamming Republicans for giving tax cuts to the rich and not wanting to spend more stimulus on the American people. He recently said, "Let's be clear. The problem is not the worker who got a small raise and a $1,400 stimulus check 7 months ago. The problem is corporations making record-breaking profits while 700 billionaires became $2 trillion richer during the pandemic. We need an economy that works for all, not the 1%. Now, guys, let me know in the comments if you agree. Of course, Bernie Sanders is referring to the fact that Republicans don't want to do another stimulus check, but they're okay with giving billionaires tax cuts that basically add up to trillions of dollars, while at the same time saying that we can't afford to take care of seniors who need larger Social Security benefits. Well, all of this is happening as Congress is facing a huge December time crunch. So a lot of things going on, folks. They're trying to extend the federal budget to avoid a shutdown and avoid potentially a freeze in Social Security benefit payments. Now, I won't go too deep on that in this video, but it's unlikely it would happen. But some experts say it's possible that if the debt ceiling crisis is not taken care of in time, Social Security payments could potentially be frozen or be delayed for a couple of months. But I won't go too deep on that in this video, but you can argue that there's a trust fund and people say you could sell the bonds immediately to keep payments going. But a lot of experts say that it would take them a couple of months to actually execute on that, right? So they're trying to get the government shutdown avoided. They're also trying to get the stimulus package done that's currently in the Senate. It was fully approved in the House. Now, it doesn't include the stimulus check, but Bernie Sanders is trying to include it in this package. And then Joe Manchin is trying to take things out. But what the heck was voted on? What was voted on last night in the Senate that is going to have a huge effect on stimulus? Well, it is the national defense budget for fiscal year 2022. Now, I won't go too deep into the defense budget, but I'm going to talk about how it affects stimulus. This is something that generally Republicans and Democrats agree on. They come together, they pass a massive spending bill on the national defense budget. And this year, I believe it's going to be about $750 billion, while at the same time, they're saying they can't afford to do $200 billion to take care of seniors who need stimulus checks. But that's another story. Basically, what's happening here is it looks like Mitch McConnell is purposely delaying the national defense budget because he wants to make things more difficult to approve stimulus. So basically, look at it this way. They're trying to get the stimulus package done. At the same time, Democrats are trying to raise the debt ceiling and get the national defense budget passed as well. So the way Mitch McConnell sees it is the more difficult he makes every single little thing, the more thinly spread Democrats will be, and the more difficult it's going to be for them to be able to get the stimulus package done before Christmas, which is currently Chuck Schumer's plan. Well, yesterday the Senate voted to try and approve the fiscal year 2022 budget for the National Defense Act. Well, Republicans blocked this. A lot of people are wondering why, because of course there's some nuanced differences here. There's always something they can complain about, but in general, it's a massive spending bill for the military and national defense. So a lot of experts think that the main reason here, the main prerogative here of what they're really trying to do is delay the entire Biden agenda, which is fine. If you disagree with the Biden agenda, I'm sure you're happy with that, right? But remember, part of the agenda is getting the stimulus package done. And Bernie Sanders is trying to include a stimulus check for seniors in that package. Now, Chuck Schumer was recently asked about what's going on here. Why did Mitch McConnell block this Defense Act budget, and what we expect to happen next? Now, Chuck Schumer tried to make it seem like things are going well. They asked him about the debt ceiling, like, hey, is Mitch McConnell going to allow you to raise the debt ceiling and avoid a government shutdown, or what's going to happen here? And Chuck Schumer made it seem like things were going great. He's like, oh, negotiations are going well. But then Mitch McConnell and Republicans painted a vastly different picture. So to end this video, I'm going to show you a clip from Chuck Schumer talking about how things are going well, things are moving along, kind of a positive spin on things. And then you're going to see Mitch McConnell come out and basically say the complete opposite, slamming Democrats for basically blaming them for inflation, right? They're really harping on the American Rescue Plan, the stimulus package that was passed back in February, March. They're saying that all of this inflation is due to the stimulus package and due to the stimulus checks. Well, you know what, folks? I'll tell you one thing. The stimulus checks did not cause all of this inflation. I can guarantee you that. The fact that the economy is reopening, supply is low, demand is high, and at the same time, let's be honest, companies are taking advantage of this. Companies are jacking up prices as high as they possibly can, right? Because they're looking at this crisis, this inflation crisis for people as an opportunity. It's unbelievable. But these companies are trying to squeeze profits everywhere they can. So they see inflation, they say, hey, we got a free license to raise prices as much as we want. Folks, it was not the stimulus checks causing inflation. Basically, that's what Mitch McConnell continues to say. So he is saying the American Rescue Plan was a disaster, it caused inflation, and Democrats should cancel the next stimulus package. He thinks they should completely cancel doing this next stimulus check package. But what I really want to point out here is the disconnect between Chuck Schumer saying things are going well, good negotiations, heading in the right direction. And then Mitch McConnell immediately comes out and says, we're not going to approve anything. The American Rescue Plan was a disaster. It caused inflation. Democrats should cancel the next stimulus package. So kind of interesting to see how they come out of a meeting and both say completely opposite things. But with that said, folks, the stimulus package currently is being negotiated in the Senate. So don't forget to subscribe. We're going to have a lot of updates this week, and I will keep you posted as things develop. So to end this video, I'm going to leave you with this clip showing what Chuck Schumer has to say, and then Mitch McConnell regarding negotiations on the next stimulus package and raising the debt ceiling limit. So let's take a look, see what they had to say. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.
Look, I think that first, Leader McConnell and I are having good conversations on this. I'm not going to get in details. We have not come to an agreement. Anyone who says there is an agreement is not correct. But I think that what we need to do is come up with an agreement that doesn't risk the full faith and credit of the United States. It's never been risked before, in a way that both parties can support. And that's what we're achieving. That's what we're trying to achieve.
Leader Schumer, will the Senate definitely address the debt limit in December?
Look, we're going by Treasury's guidance. They say right now December 15th, so we have to address it by then. We'll go by Treasury's guidance. Yes.
To what degree are you engaged in discussions or negotiations about specific elements of Build Back Better now? I know there's still parliamentary issues to work with, but things like paid leave, are you confident you can keep that in?
Look, I'm working with Senator Murray, Senator Gillibrand, Senator Stabenow, and many others. We want to see paid leave in the bill.
Leader Schumer,
yes.
on the debt limit, will it be done through reconciliation?
As I said, Leader McConnell and I have been having very good negotiations, or I would say good negotiations, and don't want to oversell. And the bottom line is we hope to come up with a bipartisan agreement that both parties support that doesn't risk us in the debt limit.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. The dilemma we have on the floor at the moment with regard to the NDAA, which is passed every year for 60 straight years, is the majority leader has been reluctant to enter into an agreement for a reasonable number of amendments related to the subject. This is still being discussed, and I'm hoping we'll find a way forward. But really, this is must-pass legislation. Came out of committee 23-3. All kinds of challenges related to the Russian pipeline, to Russians threatening Ukraine. These issues need to be addressed in a normal amendment process, and that is the only reason that we push the pause button on this bill. Excuse me, yesterday because of the absence of an agreement to go forward. That's still under discussion. You might have noticed that the chairman of the Fed said the use of the word transitory in front of inflation should be discontinued, meaning obviously inflation is not transitory, it's going forward. The principal driver of that inflation is the American Rescue Package passed on a totally partisan basis earlier this year. The only way to keep inflation from getting worse would be to kill the reckless tax and spending spree, and we hope that's the ultimate fate for that ill-advised proposal.
When the Democrats were passing their first partisan spending bill back in February, I warned at the time that this was going to lead to inflation. And obviously, we have inflation, the biggest inflation now literally in over 30 years, impacting the pocketbook of every American. And as the Democrats now contemplate yet another tax and spending spree that would recklessly and radically try to transform and change our government and our country, but just as importantly, perhaps more importantly to the average American, is going to lead to further inflation, as the leader mentioned. And if you look at the dimensions of this thing that's being talked about, the Democrats are talking about spending, on the order of a couple $1 trillion financed with 1.5 or 1.8 trillion dollars in tax cuts, or tax increases, I should say. But if you look at what independent analysts have come up with, Penn Wharton is a very reliable model on this. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget has also looked at it. Both have concluded that when fully implemented, if these programs are extended, and we believe that is the intention of the Democrats, is to get them embedded and then to make them permanent, the 10-year cost of this is on the order of $5 trillion, which would leave you about $3 trillion of debt. You'd be adding it to the debt. And the individual components of this bill are awful, and you all have heard and seen many of the provisions, but we pay a lot of attention to agriculture in my state. There are a couple of provisions in there. One that adds a couple $100 million for urban agriculture. Not sure what that means, urban agriculture. There's over $3 billion in the bill for tree equity. Evidently, we need more balance among the trees that are planted out there. I don't know. But this stuff is just crazy. And if you look at what the impact of the lifting the cap and deductibility of state and local taxes would be, and how that would affect states around this country, you would have states like South Dakota, states in the middle of the country that are low-tax states, subsidizing high-tax states like New York and Connecticut and California, and delivering tax cuts. They're raising taxes in the bill, but cutting taxes for millionaires in people in states like California, Connecticut, and New York. So this is just fraught with lots of problems. The American people recognize that, which is why they're turning on it so quickly, and why the Democrats are so desperately trying to pass it before the Christmas holiday. They know that as this thing is exposed to the public, that they're going to start losing more and more of their members. And what I would say is all it takes is one Democrat. One Democrat can stop this in its tracks and prevent this big government socialist idea from ever becoming law. I hope that we'll have a brave Democrat or two who will step forward and do just that, because they will be doing a huge favor to the American people, who are going to pay the price and the cost of this reckless, radical tax and spending spree.